Recording our newest assignment in computer animation, and what we are going to be doing in this week's project is we are going to be using another layer mask in order to create a rotating globe image. Another thing we're going to drop in is also, you'll see here, is called a motion guide. So when you create a motion tween and you want something to go along a certain path, you can create what's called a motion guide, so that you can make a planet or any other object really rotating around your globe. You can see another example that I've been playing with over here is a cat on a rocket, and so anything that you'd like to make rotate around this globe is something that I'll let you do. In order to get started in this project, we'll start a new document, and what we're going to do is do a quick Google search for a world texture map. So there's a variety of some to choose from. I think that these are both pretty nice. I think with this one this is going to be the one I'm going to go with. So I'm going to copy this image, go back to Flash, and I'm going to paste it down. It's not too big, so that is good, but I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. Holding Shift is going to help keep the proportions, remember that. And I'm going to make this fit. So it's pretty good size, fitting in about the middle of my screen. Maybe just a little bit smaller, so it fits. That's pretty good size. That fits in the stage right there. Okay. So I'm just looking. It doesn't have a black border. I thought maybe it did kind of, but that should do. Okay. So the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to actually draw a circle. This is going to be on a new layer. So I'll go ahead and label this first one map, and then I'm going to go ahead and name this top one. This is going to be the mask. This is going to end up being the mask layer. So what I'm going to draw on this layer is a circle. So again, clicking, dragging, and holding Shift. I want this circle to be just slightly smaller than our image. And we don't want it to have an outline. So if you do have an outline, make sure that you delete it. And it's also good to choose a color for this that's really different, like we did on our last assignment, something really different from what your background image is, or the image that you're masking, just so that you can really see clearly what you're doing. And I'm just kind of moving this, nudging it a little bit to make sure it's pretty well centered. It's pretty well centered on my stage too, so that should work. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually right click here and create this into a mask. So right now you can see what it does. It's taking the rest of the map image and hiding it, only revealing what you can actually see where I drew the mask. So the rest is hidden when I unlock this. So I'm going to unlock both of these. It automatically locks whenever we create a mask. So unlock them to see what is going on. What I'm actually going to do with the map image now is I'm going to rotate it just a little bit. And so it kind of creates this tilt because the axis of our world is actually on a slight tilt, and so this would this a little more accurately reflect the actual rotation of the globe, but just having a slight tilt. I'm also going to go to maybe about 40 frames and just press F5 twice to just extend our animation so that it goes on for a little bit longer. Okay, but what I'm going to do is take the map, and I'm going to copy and paste it. So I'm going to Control C, Control V, and what we're going to do is create a bit of a loop, if you will, so that this will continually go across. Now, I am a little bit concerned about the bevel on this. So that's that little shadow edge before that I had pointed out, because it will probably make it so that my animation won't quite seem seamless. I'm going to go ahead with it now that I've kind of gotten started on this, because I would rather not start over, but that will create a slight seam in my animation. When you look for your own image, make sure that there's no outlines or any seams or anything along these edges. That way it will make your animation work a little bit better. What I'm going to then do is take both of these, and I'm going to group them together and make them a symbol. Okay, so we're going to press F8. And we want this to be a graphic symbol that we'll just call map. Okay, so that works for now. I'm also going to take this and drag it slightly back so that it really starts, our animation starts with kind of like right around here at the end of this whole thing here, this whole strand of the world. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this and maybe go out to the 40th. Let me check back on my other one. I went a little further, but I think 40 should work. We'll go ahead, press F6, create a new keyframe, and over here now we're going to take and move our world map so that it is across on the other side of our mask. And then we can go back in between and we will create a motion tween. So what this should do is cause your map to move slowly across the stage like so. If I press the lock on these, we can see what will happen. So you have the world going across. As you can see, there is that little seam there, which is a little annoying, but just make sure that when you choose your map image that there is no kind of like an edge shadow around your map. So if I play this, this is what we should have. So we're going to do a couple things to make this animation a little more three-dimensional. What we're going to do next is go ahead and create a new layer, not underneath the mask. So if you click the new layer button and it creates it underneath it, we want to go ahead and click and drag it out of it. And this layer, what we're going to actually call this is shadow. And we're going to create a gradient over the top of this globe so that it becomes a little more three-dimensional appearing. So what I'll do is actually I'm going to unlock the mask layer. I'm going to take this circle and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to this first keyframe up here. I'll lock this again so I don't see it, and I'm going to paste this circle over the top. And I'm going to try and line it up just right so that it covers over my globe. And here what I'm going to go to is I'm going to actually create this into a gradient fill. So we're going to go to radial gradient, and what we want this to be is a transparent fade to a black color. So on this first slider on your left side, you're going to want to change what's called the alpha. So see how this says 0%? If I turn this up to 100, it's actually white. So you'll see it look white in the middle. But if we turn the alpha down to 0, alpha means that that is now transparent. And then your color on the right you want to be pure black. So what this is a transparent, that's why you can see the grid through it, a transparent to black shadow that's going to happen over the top of our world. So when I unclick or unselect it, you can see really how that's really working and helping. So if I play this animation again, you have that shadow that goes around the edges. So it really helps you, this whole image appear, your animation appear more three-dimensional. Okay. Last thing that I'd really like to do to this is to add in a background color. What you may notice, and we haven't really talked about or using it yet, but because this animation is going to stay mostly in one frame, one stage, is you can change your background color right down here. So I can go ahead and make this background color black, and that really now with the shadow and the black background really makes this appear kind of three-dimensional as a globe kind of spinning around. The other thing that you may want to play with is kind of the positioning of your gradient. So what we could do is play with the gradient transform tool, and we could move this gradient possibly up to the right side. Alright, and that might create a little bit better shadow effect. Alright, so that is step one of this animation. And I hope you have fun, and we'll think about adding an emotion guide and something else to your animation in the next lesson.